Over the middle for Hull, and it's intercepted. Devon Witherspoon, room to run, past Freeman. Again. And finally tripped up by Ethan Wiedeker.
All right, he is the head coach of Illinois football. Bret Bielema joining us right now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Coach, I got to be really honest. Before we even ask about Devon or any of the other great players that you've coached, we were researching a bit about you for this interview, and we might almost be just as interested in your life. I'm just right from the jump going to tell you right now. I was like, wait, he grew up on a hog farm with two brothers, Bart and Barry, and Bret? Like, I need to know more about this life. It's amazing. What was that like?
It was pretty awesome. Wouldn't trade it in for the world. I was able to, grow up on a farm. I actually had two brothers, two sisters, Bart, Betsy, Barry, Brett, Brandy. So we were the five killer bees, and had a great life growing up, and then went on to play football. Ironically, a true story and twist of the whole plot. My sister Betsy, was a big role model in my life. I was a college athlete as well. Went to work for King TV in Seattle as well later in her life. So,
no way.
Been tied to the Seattle world for a while.
Now you just throw a bump in there and we can all be family, you know. Red Berry bump, throw me in there, Coach. But I want to ask you about We are excited to have him out here in Seattle. And the first thing I saw when I click on the film are instincts and violence. How would you describe this young man to the 12s out here?
You know, Mike, I think you're exactly right. He's a player that, does believe in film study and prep, but there's nothing like having awareness on the field, right? He really, truly understands splits, cuts, if he's into the boundary to the field. A lot of people make reference to that play against Indiana when he blew up the running back flare screen. I always say this, I think Spoon probably knew that play was going to be run before the quarterback even called it, right? Like, he just truly has great instincts. And the best news is I think his best football is yet to come.
When we heard Pete Carroll talking about him, Pete Carroll seemed really struck by his work ethic. Do you have maybe one example or a story that comes to mind where you just thought, this kid just prepares in a different way?
Yeah, Stacey, great question. I actually got a call from John Schneider and Coach Carroll the day before, so I knew something was up. It was kind of interesting leading up to the draft. I'd heard from anybody that had the third pick to the ninth pick to the eighth pick, 7-6, and then when I got that text from John, I started smiling because I knew something was in the air. And then, Spoon's made a huge impression on me from the first day I saw him to where we are today. He just is a guy that, as competitive he is in the game day, he's even more competitive in practice because now he knows the guys, right? And I don't care what the situation. It could be Skelly, it could be a team period, it could be one-on-ones. Like, he is going to compete his tail off on a daily basis to be at his best on any given snap. So, a relentless work ethic. I think a lot of times, not to speak from you, Michael, but I think wide receivers and DBs get a little hey, these guys don't love the weight room, they don't love to work, they don't love to do all this, and it's the exact opposite. Spoon is engaged. He knows that the work that he puts in on Monday through Friday plays off on Saturdays, and I think the NFL will see the same thing.
Yeah, Coach, everything I hear about him makes me feel like he's going to fit in perfectly up here with the competitiveness, with the making sure that he's prepared. What is he like off the field? Because the Hawks do a great job of drafting and selecting good character guys, and it sounds like he's good on the field. What is he like off the field?
Yeah, he definitely is a guy that likes to have fun, huge personality, great demeanor. If you don't see him, you're definitely going to hear him. He loves to talk a little smack. But, off the field, I can't tell you how many times he helped us with guys in difficult moments, a tremendous mentor for the younger guys. I distinctly remember last year during one of our bye weeks, I know I had him playing at a high level, so I said, listen, this bye week is going to be a rest week for you. You're going to get some conditioning, but I just want your body to have a week off from the contact you've been putting it through. And he spent every minute on that sideline talking to the younger players, guiding them up, coaching them up. And then when his decision came where he, was going to forego our bowl game and jump the NFL, had a moment where he was very emotional about who he has grown into while he's been here. And, much has been said, but, he wasn't not only a 3-star, a 2-star, or 1-star, he was a 0.0 star when he got recruited out of high school. So this kid carries a chip on his shoulders, both on left and right. He just doesn't have one. He's got two. And it shows up in his demeanor on a daily basis. And I would tell you this, right? The reason Seattle has had success I've known John Schneider for a long time, and the detail that his crew and his people put in to the people that they're bringing into that organization is second to none. And it's another great reason why I think Seattle is going to have another great resurgence. And hopefully, as this defense continues to grow with a couple of our players, is going to make it better and better.
You know, Coach, speaking of that, I didn't realize that you and John went so far back. Having known John and obviously your sister having connections to the area, was any part of you like extra happy or relieved or excited feeling like you knew the environment that Devon was going into?
You know, I had a wonderful NFL career. I was with the Seattle Seahawks for 6 days before they cut me. So
we claim you. We still claim you.
A natural affection for the NFL, especially Seattle, because they're the only ones that gave me a shot. But I think when you know people, but I've also, obviously a lot gets written about Russ and Russell Wilson when they drafted him. But I also had another former player, Chris Maragos, who really, catapulted his career there with the Seahawks and put himself in a great situation. They've recruited and coached. They've drafted Alex Collins, and I know he's kind of had an up and down career, but he's definitely had more good times than bad in Seattle, and just several other guys that I think the world of that have gone through that organization and love that environment, that culture, and obviously when you have a player that can take part in an organization that you think can build success, it's fun to see them have that.
Coach, out here, the University of Washington has been named DB University over the past few years, but you got 3 DBs drafted, one in the first, one in the second, one in the third, and you also had a running back drafted over there. What is it about this secondary that made it so special, and how come you guys weren't getting more recognition? I feel like we should have been hearing about these guys.
Yeah, we started playing good defense 2 years ago, and then we had a lot of players coming back, and I think we have a system that allows players to play early in their careers. When we took over, Spoon had started 5 games in his career, right? And now 2 years later, he's the 5th pick in the draft, right? A year ago, we had a safety leave us a year early who had only played DB for 1 year. Kirby Joseph was in the 3rd round for the Detroit Lions, and I think he picked off Aaron Rodgers 3 times this year. So I mean, our DBs have gone on and done great. We had 3 DBs off the draft board before any other team in college football had 2. So I know what we're doing works. We've been able to recruit to it. We're getting in on some of the best players in the country. We're playing good defense offensively. We made a huge turn a year ago, and I literally think we're on the verge of doing something really, really good. The good news is it's a well-kept secret, right? So you don't have to put up with a lot of preseason hype or shenanigans. We'll just keep kind of doing our work. We probably return a left guard and tackle that might be the best in college football playing next to each other. We have a pair of DNs that were All-American type players that might be the best back in college football as well. So a lot of really good players coming back and hopefully some good things on the horizon.
Now, Devon's background is pretty interesting too, Coach, because he didn't play football until his junior year of high school. What was he like as a prospect when you got him versus who he was graduating?
We didn't. Unfortunately, we got here and inherited Spoon, so he was already here in the mix. But I distinctly remember going out and watching our first drills on the field. He was doing an agile bag drill that really just kind of showcased his burst, his change of directions, ability to balance. He's listed as a 5'10" plus corner, right? But he plays really, really big. I think the thing that really you enjoy and what you'll get to know about Spoon is everything about him is just a little bit more than what it appears. He's just got a really unique personality. He's got a great skill set, incredible competitor, and he's just going to be. My guess is after a year or two, he's going to be one of the crowd favorites as well.
I love it. What was the conversation like between you and him after he got drafted?
It was one of those moments that is very surreal. I actually didn't share with him that I had spoken to John and Pete the day before, just because you don't want to put something in their mind that doesn't come to life. But I had a feeling if he survived the 3rd, if they didn't pick him on the 3rd pick, I thought there's a outside chance Arizona might. But when the 5th, 6th, 7th, I literally told my corners coach, my D coordinator, Aaron Henry, I go, I don't know if he's going to go 5, 6, or 7, but he ain't getting past those 3 spots. So I actually was turning. The camera started to move to another prospect in the green room there that everybody thought was going to go next. And I literally turned and I looked at Spoon, and he wasn't looking at me, but I saw him look at his phone, pull it over, look at it, and start smiling and picked it up. And then I could begin to see what happened. And then I texted John afterwards and kind of saw the excitement from them about what they had accomplished. So, really cool moment. His mom was an incredible woman. his brothers that were there, just really, really cool family. And to see them live that moment and realize, the day before, he had probably a couple $1,000s in a checking account. His contract's probably going to be north of $35 million overnight, right? And those moments, that's what, in coaching, we get into it for a lot of reasons, but to see the smile and the heart and the warmth in that family and know what's on the horizon, you literally just change the direction of his life forever is truly a special moment.
Well, Coach, I love everything you're saying. If you're in need for a 37-year-old slot receiver,
you know who to call.
I got you, man. I got you.
I like it. We're always looking for it. If he didn't exhaust that eligibility, we can have a tryout in the fall, I promise.
Yeah, I feel like I was a natural-born safety, so, I don't know what I can add. I mean, 5'2", but quickness. So that's really what's important.
We're always looking for a pooch punter. You just work on pooch punting skills. We don't need it to go 40. We just need it to go 25. That's it.
I got you, Coach. All right. He is Bret Bielema, head coach of Illinois football, and the Seahawks got something special. But you know what? We're lucky to talk to Bret. Coach 6 All-Americans, multiple first-round picks, doing a heck of a job over there. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. You guys have a great weekend.